off with the first question as per your
Well, we're live, so don't worry about it. I got it.
okay.
All right, Robin, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me to be on.
Absolutely. So, for those of you who haven't met Robin yet, Robin Waite is a business strategy expert and co-founder of a successful online strategy agency in the UK. He's helped over 200 businesses create change and growth within their organization since 2004. Robin has personally taught business, online marketing, and social media strategy to over 1,000 business owners. He now specializes in creating growth and scalability for established businesses with over £500,000 in revenue through a tailored program of coaching, workshops, and practical implementation. So, Robin, welcome to the show.
Cool. Thank you very much for inviting me. Really, really excited actually to be talking to you and hopefully sharing a few kind of tips and ideas.
Awesome, man. So tell us about kind of your background real quick, your background in business, how you got started doing what you're doing, and then why you decided to write your book.
Okay, so the uh, my background basically, I always knew when I was at school that I wanted to run my own business of some sort in the technology space. So when I left school, I actually studied business management at university, and whilst I was doing that, I was working as a systems analyst. So kind of made me really think about how business works, very much sort of outside the box. And when I eventually managed to get my degree and left university, I set up a business buying and selling laptops. That was really, really successful. But unfortunately, the bubble burst and the price of laptops fell. So I had to find something different. So my business partner I met whilst I was working as a systems analyst, and we actually ended up doing something similar during the sort of interim period once he'd left the place where we were working. So we got together and started kind of building websites for people and doing network installations. And we spent 10 years out of the last 11 years doing that. And for me, kind of the space, the website design space has changed massively. And there's a huge amount of competition from kind of free and DIY sites and things like that. And there's a lot of noise basically. And so what I wanted to do is try and essentially unlock a lot of that noise and the confusion which our customers were experiencing. So we now actually have changed from doing just purely website design, and we actually work really closely with a lot of our clients doing essentially mapping out their longer term strategies, so or short, medium, and long term strategies for what they're actually going to do with their website, and hopefully align that with what their overall kind of business aims and objectives are.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So basically, you saw like everyone in the market. There's all this free stuff. There's like Wix. There's like Blogger. There's WordPress. There's all these free things in the market. There's so many different ways to create a website now, and still most small businesses in the world, in the UK, I'm sure it's the same as in the US, aren't really taking advantage of the internet the way that they should be. So you said, hey, if people are confused, they don't know what to do, why don't we just go and create like the really hands-on, in-depth training, products, services, consulting to really teach people what they need to know to succeed.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Essentially, what it came down to is people think that having a website is the one thing that's going to change their business, and ultimately that's not the one thing. Once you have a website, you've then got to get out there and market it. So a great deal of what we do is kind of based around creating content strategies with our clients, and again, a lot of them have the resources to be able to implement, so they have staff there who know their products inside and out. So we kind of educate people on how they should be implementing their content strategy over the course of, so we do a workshop which essentially guides them to create a 52-week content strategy. So they're creating content on sort of almost a weekly basis and publishing that out through their website. That's just one small part of it. Obviously, then you're starting to introduce people to kind of likes of using video and how that can improve, especially from a search engine perspective. Getting stuff onto YouTube is one of the most important things. It's the second most popular search engine at the moment. So, and it's also owned by Google. So Google has the two most popular search engines out there. So again, it's not just about having a website, it's then actually how you use it to leverage the customers that you're getting to your site and enabling your website to convert as many of those users as you possibly can.
Absolutely. Definitely makes sense. So kind of share with us some of the, content marketing strategies that you've used, that your clients have used. Like what kind of stuff are you doing that's been like really, really effective?
Well, one of the new things which we're playing with at the moment, and starting to introduce into some of our clients' businesses, is something called a video content ecosystem. So traditionally, a lot of people thought that when they were blogging, they would just sit down, come up with a subject or a title, and just start typing and create a blog article. And actually, they tended to be quite boring. It's very wordy. So we've started to introduce and coach our clients on how to use video, for example, using mobile devices, which are really, pushing out really high quality HD video at the moment. And then using any other resources which they can get their hands on to kind of essentially talk about their business, push the video out to YouTube, and then actually transcribe the videos which they're publishing and use that as the basis for their blog content. And not only that, but then once you've got the video and you've got the headlines for your blog articles, we teach people how to plan it and break up their content into various different sections. You can then start to push that out to, for example, SlideShare and Prezi. So you create various different slide decks out of it. And then actually, rather than kind of using, a lot of people would write one blog article and then do one tweet. Whereas actually, if you plan your article properly and you do things like top 10 tips, you've actually got 10 tweets which you can then send out. So from what used to be one single piece of content, i.e. a blog article, now they've got a video which they can then leverage to use in through multiple different channels to market their business. And it's early days because there's quite a big it takes about 2 or 3 months for people to get over firstly to learn, through the workshop, but then actually to implement it and then find the confidence to sit in front of a video and then produce it regularly. And it's all part of kind of just forming habits and discipline, basically. So actually we're fighting people's, I suppose, what's the word I'm looking for? We're fighting with people's own personal disciplines, getting them into the habit of doing these things on a regular basis. And again, most businesses are changing on a very regular basis. So again, like making sure that they are very adaptable and like willing to make changes to their marketing strategy as their business kind of grows and adapts as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, man. That's awesome. So you shared a lot of really cool stuff there really fast. That's like some gold right there. So go back and let's re-listen to that part again. But
Sure.
You mentioned something, SlideShare. I know SlideShare is a really cool site. You can upload like PowerPoint decks and stuff like that. But I've never heard of Prezi. What is that? Something similar?
Yeah, Prezi is very similar. There's also slide. I think it's slid.es, so it spells the word slides, but the domain is .es at the end, which is another very similar one. But with slides, you can actually create the presentation within it, and it's just really smart in terms of how it handles branding and things like that. But actually, to be kind of once you've created one presentation, you can knock it out in PowerPoint, but then actually, if you've got accounts in all of them, actually you're getting, your article content out there on multiple different platforms. And that's the key to it. So rather than focusing just on publishing content on your website, which a lot of small business owners are kind of, they think that that's all blogging is about, is just, getting content out on their website. Actually, you can just have it using the video content ecosystem, especially just push it out on multiple platforms. And even with, you've got YouTube and Vimeo, which are the two main video platforms, as well, but there's also tons of different video platforms out there. So if you've got the time, or you can outsource it to somebody, you can actually publish your videos on sort of 30 or 40 different video streaming, platforms. So it's kind of like, it's really just like realizing the value of content and intellectual.
You still there? You still there, Robin? Hey, Robin, are you there?
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Sorry, lost my 4G connection.
Okay. Yeah, it's all good.
Can you hear me okay though?
Yeah. So you were just talking about understanding the value of your content and then cut out.
Yeah, so really it's kind of just about pushing content out to as many different platforms as possible, and kind of maximizing the value of the intellectual property which people own. I think these days it's actually many people are actually scared about giving away, you know, their intellectual property to their customers, whereas actually with with Google, you know, you can Google anything. You've got instant access to any kind of knowledge. So we encourage our clients to create essentially products for prospects, things which they can give away for free, which offer value to the client, but don't, you know, perhaps actually they still require an expert to handle the implementation. So yeah, so it's kind of just, it's multiple use of content and creating as much value out of intellectual property as you possibly can, and to give that value to the customer for free.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, that's the strategy I've been teaching for years. It just makes sense. So I'm curious, you know, when you're working with these small business owners, are these the kind of tasks, you know, like everything you just mentioned with, you know, creating the videos and transcribing and the blog posts and tweeting, all that stuff? Is that stuff that a lot of these business owners, they do in-house? Do they hire, you know, someone full-time just to work on, you know, their online marketing and social media? Are they doing a lot of outsourcing? Is it something where, you know, all the employees in the company are pitching in a little bit? Like, how does that usually work in the actual implementation stage?
With the, I suppose the small end of the small to medium market, most of them tend to try and do everything themselves. And we're starting to get quite a nice set of partnerships, of sort of outsourcing partnerships that we can put our customers in contact with now. So you still need the customer to create the videos and to create the initial, you know, come up with the ideas and concepts. But actually, once they're recorded, you can use kind of outsourced partners to handle kind of the editing, transcribing, and those sorts of processes. You're getting kind of outsourced partners again to design things like the slide decks to push up to SlideShare and Slides in Prezi. Again, it's a very quick process. Once you kind of created the templates with those partners and they understand what your business, your core values are for your business, it's just repeatable. So it makes the whole, you don't have to worry so much about communication at that point. You can just say, right, here's some more content, and they know what to do with it. With the more medium-sized companies, this actually, let's say, for example, businesses who are turning over £1 million to £1.5 million pounds a year, perhaps they've got in the region of 10 to 12 to 15 employees, they tend to have a marketing department, and they want to keep control of the quality. And it's actually the quality of that content which is much more important to them, rather than kind of the urgency. So it's a mixture of both, really. It just depends on the business owner and kind of what they're hoping to achieve through it, whether it's they want speed, get the content out there as quickly as possible, or whether they want quality to make sure that it matches up with their brand.
Definitely. Yeah, it makes sense, man. So can you tell us about your book? I mean, why'd you write it? What's it about, and how is it helping people?
Cool. So the book came about, I started writing it about a year ago, and the book came back because I've done about, over 1,000 sales pitches to potential customers. And time again, I used to get asked exactly the same questions. This is kind of in the web design space that we work in. And a lot of the time, potential customers would come into into the office, and they would basically say, build me a website. And I spent 10 minutes talking to them about their website, but then about 2 hours talking to them about their business and talking about, you know, my background as a systems analyst and through business management and my understanding of branding, for example, you'd start to find problems with, you know, they'd have a logo which they knocked out in word art or clip art or something like that. And they'd have aspirations to have, you know, a £1 million plus business, and the two just didn't marry up. So really the book kind of was born out a bit out of frustration, but I just wanted something that I could give to each potential new client just to educate them on, you know, the value of simple business assets, like the value of having a good, strong, clear logo and a good, strong, clear brand and the core values for their business. And then starting to kind of extend that out into the different sort of digital assets which you can build. So brochures, even business cards, making sure, you know, tiny little details like having your business card printed on, you know, the thickness of the paper and whether it's matte or gloss, you know, laminated. A lot of business owners kind of overlook those little details, but actually, you know, most people, like the buying environment is 90%, you know, it's based on emotions. 10% is based on cognitive. Most people don't know when they've got a good feeling about something. It just happens. So the book really is to try and educate people about those kind of core values and to get over some of those frustrations. And equally, you know, through the recession, we got asked quite often, you know, why should people choose me to build their website and give them advice about their business and their online strategy? And it's actually just easier just to slide a book across the table and say, I've written a book about it.
Yeah, definitely makes the job a whole lot easier, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So the book itself kind of covers essentially the business strategy is the first part, the first sort of 10 chapters, which essentially is what I wish I'd known in business 10 years ago when I first set up my own business. And it kind of then leads into, so that's building up your kind of business assets which you need and understanding the values of those. And then it goes into the online strategy side of things. So what to look for if you're going to find a web design partner to work with, you know, how to actually then go about testing the quality of your own website. Because I think ownership for small business owners is very, very important. And there's tons of tools out there which they can test their websites for free. I don't see why they should necessarily always have to pay me to work out whether their website is good or not. I mean, I know that I built a very good website, but customers coming into us, you know, it sounds like a sales pitch when you say, well, your website's not very good, but we'll build you a better one. So actually, if you say, well, actually, if you go away and you use the 7 testing tools which I've mentioned in my free testing tools which I've mentioned in my book, you can evaluate how good your website is. And I didn't want to give I didn't want it to be technical. I think that's the key thing. I wanted to kind of people to use a tool. I've put the benchmarks in there, and they can easily tell whether they're above or below those benchmarks. And so then the final part of the book is about starting to create a social media strategy. So it talks about creating a 52-week content strategy, how to actually go about sort of writing blog articles, a couple of shortcuts, and then how to actually go about promoting it through social media and some of the automation tools which you can use.
That's awesome. So is you know, you do a lot, I know you do a lot with social media and a lot with your clients with social media as well. Is Instagram becoming big in the UK? Is that big for business right now?
It's getting there slowly. It's a lot of, I think I'd say a majority of people are still using Instagram for a personal perspective. I think Instagram kind of got big in the UK just as Facebook were in the process of acquiring them. So kind of the two have now kind of gone hand in hand for a lot of people. And of course, Facebook is to all intents and purposes, a majority of people again use Facebook for personal use. So Instagram is getting there, I think, in this country. For a lot of our clients, though, are business to business rather than business to consumer. So I think the key thing for Instagram really is it's probably better placed for business to consumer. So again, it's not something which we work with a lot of our clients. Just the odd ones will kind of push in that direction if we feel it's appropriate.
Gotcha. So then, I mean, what kind of social networks are you using? Are you using LinkedIn, using Facebook, are you using ads? What are you doing?
So we stick with the big 4. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google+. And again, like even Google+ in the UK isn't that big yet, but because it's linked to all of the different Google products in terms of analytics and Google Places, Google Business, it's really important actually for businesses to think about getting onto Google+, because it's another tick in the box as far as Google is concerned. But yeah, we typically tend to work with those four, again, because most of our clients are in the small end of the small to medium kind of sector. If we give them a whole raft of social media channels to work with, their brains they get overloaded and they can't cope with it. So, and equally, part of what we teach people to do is actually on the automation side of things. And most methods, most tools which kind of automate social media tend to only stick with those big four.
Yeah, well, it just makes sense. I mean, you only got so much time in the day. You want to focus on what's going to make the biggest difference in your business.
Yeah. And we do occasionally take, so there's other tools like Zapier, so you can start to link everything up. I don't know if you've heard of Zapier.
Yeah, Zapier is awesome.
Yeah, it's brilliant. In terms of like, it's one of the best, well, it is the best micro-tasking tool out there in my opinion, but just taking some of the grunt work out of those, like, you know, one area where we use it is for onboarding new clients, for example. So we use Xero, the bookkeeping package, to kind of manage the account side of things for our business. And actually, when we onboard a new client through Xero, which is kind of our first point of entry for a client, it pushes out, it adds them into MailChimp and Zendesk and all of the other sort of tools which we use in terms of communicating with our clients. So we're also doing, starting to do a lot more of that sort of work with our customers as well, and showing them those tools. Again, the trouble is they tend to be quite technical, and you know, there's a lot of hand holding. Once it's set up, it's brilliant, but the clients tend to push back a little bit because it's new, it's technology, and it's confusing. So we have to kind of, you know, carry them along with us and make sure that it's all set up correctly for them, and then we can kind of just lead them to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I just want to kind of talk about this a little bit, because, you know, people listening might not really totally get Zapier, what it does, how it works. So basically, it's like an automation tool, and you can kind of you can add different, you know, website accounts you have. So like you have Xero, which is your accounting software, which is like QuickBooks. A lot of people use QuickBooks. Yeah. MailChimp for your autoresponder to send out emails to clients. And basically, with Zapier, you can kind of connect these different accounts and tell the software that, hey, you know, if you add a new client into your accounting software, and so you got a new client on, it'll automatically add them to your autoresponder. And what else were you doing with it as well?
So we also use Zendesk, which is our support ticketing system. So of course, when you get a new customer, they're going to require support. So yeah, exactly the same as loading their, copying their data into MailChimp. It just zaps it across into Zendesk. And we also send out, we use another tool called Uptime Robot to monitor our clients' websites. And whilst Zapier is not linked up to that just yet, but we've got a data feed of all of the websites as we add them to our server. So again, it's just another way of automating the process. For example, as we create a new web space for our customers, it automatically uploads their details into Uptime Robot. So, I mean, that's to save us a headache, because obviously when if anything happens to our server, we want to be able to kind of get in there and fix it before our customers even know about it. I think, you know, for us, automation is all about being proactive rather than reactive, and so that we're not chasing our tails all the time.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love what you just said, proactive, not reactive. And I think that's exactly what automation can do. And, you know, it's so amazing now. You know, a few years ago, Zapier didn't even exist. You know, there was if this then that, which was not so good, but now it's gotten much better. But it's amazing what you can do. I mean, think about like the example you just had with, you know, you have a new client in your accounting software, in your accounting system, and automatically putting them into your other systems is so much more convenient than having, you know, a secretary do that, you know, all day long, just putting in data and making sure it's right. And with humans, you can have mistakes. I mean, they might spell the name wrong, or put the address wrong, or the phone number, or the billing amount. But, you know, when it's automated, as long as you set it up correctly, it's always going to be accurate 100% of the time, and allows you to really focus on the important stuff in your business, which is like, you know, getting clients and talking to your clients and, you know, creating your content marketing and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's just, for me, it's all about that attention to detail. Like if a human error means that you end up kind of just addressing somebody by the wrong name, you know, that's going to annoy a client. You don't want to, you want to make them feel like valued and trusted. You want to make sure you're getting all of the information to them they need. And so automation has just fixed an awful lot of those problems. The only problem I have found with it is if one link in the chain, you know, breaks, it can have a knock-on effect, and it you know, almost takes more time to actually fix. But it seems, I mean, I've seen some great examples of kind of software companies who have basically just, you know, automated the entire, you know, end-to-end interaction with their customers. So like onboarding the customers through sales funnels like Infusionsoft, for example, which then handles the payment processing. And then they've got a marketing campaign in MailChimp, which then has, you know, weekly emails which are sent out automatically from the moment they're onboarded, and kind of starts looking after them. And then the customer services side of things is taken care of in Zendesk, and that's dealt with by somebody, you know, 12,000 miles around the globe. It's ridiculous what you can do with technology, and it's still we're of the generation, we've grown up with technology. It still amazes me what new stuff comes out.
Yeah, it is amazing. And, you know, you made a really good point about, you know, like if one link in the chain breaks, it can cause all these bad effects. And, you know, for me, what it's done is whenever I buy like a service, like, you know, an autoresponder service or any kind of these online things that I know I'm going to have to automate or connect or hire someone to manage, I spend more time thinking about it before I actually make that decision, because I know once I set it up and I automate and put the systems in place, if I want to change my accounting software, it's not just my accounting software that has to change, it's every other system that's connected to that, which, like you said, could take a ton of time. So it can be a really useful tool, but I think, you know, you also have to, you know, before you jump into that, kind of understand what your options are and make sure you're making the best choice at that time. Yeah.
And for our customers, for example, I mean, we've got still in the website space, we've got about 100 clients who are hosting on our dedicated server. And if that server just goes down, we've got 100 really angry clients. Typically what we've got to do is update that server on a regular basis. And if we warn them, they're happy. They don't mind if there's going to be a little bit of downtime, because they know that those updates are going to make the service better. When things break, that's, you know, that is a disaster to most, you know, customers, especially in the digital world. So we've got to work really hard to make sure that those things don't break. And you know, again, it's coming back to being like proactive rather than reactive. You know, if something breaks, you just end up having to make excuses for it. Whereas actually, if you're proactive and give people forewarning, you know, you've got nothing to, don't have to apologize for that. You know, they just know they're getting a better quality of service out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Words of wisdom to live by, for sure. So, well, Robin, you shared a lot of awesome stuff with us today. I really appreciate it. And why don't you, before you go, tell us more about, you know, your book and where people can find out more about you and the work that you're doing.
Cool. So if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about me, I've got an about.me page. It's /Robin.Waite. My book, I've got a website which people can download some free chapters from. The website address is onlinebusinessstartup.co.uk. It's quite long, unfortunately. I couldn't find a shorter version of that. In terms of what I'm working on at the moment, actually, I felt that I had a really, because my book only came out in April, and I launched it officially on Amazon in May, and managed to achieve a bestseller status really quickly, but with a very well organized launch campaign. And I actually felt that could be quite helpful to a lot of you know, up and coming authors who are releasing their book for the first time, who are a bit daunted by the prospect of how you get your book out there. So my next, well, what I'm working on at the moment, almost finished, is actually a guide to writing and launching a bestseller on Amazon. So I know it's been done a lot of times before, but it's my own take on it, and I hope that some people find it useful. So I'm hoping that will be out on Kindle in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But I also just thoroughly enjoyed the writing process. So for me, it's just a quick win. I just wanted to get another book out there and loved the experience. So I thought I'd you know, write it down and share it with somebody.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and we'll have all the links to your websites, your about.me page, and your books in the show notes. So check that all out at publishingprofitspodcast.com. Robin, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for inviting me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Well, you too. Take care.